Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio. Your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Brett O'Loughlin here. We're on Talking Heads on the USA Global TV and Radio Network. Have you ever walked 500 miles just for fun? 500 miles, yes, 500 miles. That's kind of my talk today about. So let me get my slides lined up here real quickly. Okay, quite a few years ago, over 10 years ago, a movie came out called The Way with Martin Sheen. And it was something we saw up at our church. We had a summer movie thing every month. Every month in the summertime, we had movies. We'd go up there and have some wine and chips and whatever else. And we watched this thing. I'm going to say it's probably about 2015, my wife and I. She just literally had just about ended her radiation and chemotherapy from her breast cancer surgery. Everything went well, recovery nice, everything. And we're looking at this thing, and it's probably summertime of 2015. And we decided to go on our 8th honeymoon. We'd been married probably almost 50 years by that time. So it's 58 now, so probably about 48 years then, 47. And we decided to do the honeymoon tour. So we went down to Violet, Texas, where we got married, and went to Rockport, where we spent our first night at. Then we went up to San Antonio for Hemisphere. We were gone maybe 10 days. And in the process of doing that, my wife is not very accepting of hostels and that kind of we talked and talked and talked. And she finally says, I'll go if I can have a private room, private bath every night. I said, okay, we'll see what we can do. So we started looking at it. This is about a year before we actually went over to Spain. And for those who are not familiar with it, there's a place, there's the Spain, Portugal, and France. So let me pop up to the next one. This up here in the upper right-hand corner is a place called Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port, which is on the other side of the Pyrenees Mountains. It's a town in southwestern France where there's many, many, many different Caminos. This particular one is a 500-mile Camino that's called Camino Frances. And you start there in Saint-Jean, and you walk all the way to Santiago de Compostela. So we decided that, okay, if we can get a private room, private bath every night, we'll go. Okay, that didn't seem to be too hard to do. Most of the hostels were, 4, 6, 8 euros a night. I think it was euros back then. Pretty sure it was. And the hotels generally ran 35 to 55, maybe a little bit more, depending on the accommodations for a hotel room. So we took off, and our trek probably was about 42 days in all. We actually walked for 30 days across Spain. But we got all our stuff, and we started practicing. A pair of shoes, started walking. And in Houston, everything's flat. We didn't realize how much we needed some hills to practice on until we got to Spain, because it seemed like everything was uphill. So the first place you start is over in France. Well, we take a Space A military flight out of Norfolk, Virginia, fly to Rho to Spain, take a bus to the train station, take the train up to capital of Spain, can't think of it right this second. Anyway, and then we take a bus over to Pamplona, which is where we're going to get to start the next morning. We take a bus from Pamplona into Saint-Jean over the Pyrenees Mountains. We spend the night in Saint-Jean, and that begins our trek. But all of this thing was, we had socks, we had clothes, We know we can only probably at most in a backpack. My wife's weighed 15 pounds, my weight's 18 pounds. So you have 3 changes of clothes, and you're basically washing clothes every night, fast dry clothes. And you have 2 pairs of socks. You have an under sock and a regular one. And so she had a boot that covered her ankles. I didn't have that. I chose something a little bit more daring. But we just walked and walked and walked and walked. And then by the time that we actually got to Spain and we started seeing other people who didn't spend almost a year practicing, they were having all sorts of problems, blisters, toenails. A lot of people with toenails ripped off. You start going downhill on a mountain, and if your toes, that toe box at the tip end of your shoe, if that's not really fitted for you, I think one lady that we met, she lost 5 nails on her one foot, just because she didn't get fitted right. A lot of people, lots and lots and lots of leg issues as we wandered through this whole thing. But as me back up here, we watched the movie The Way, and that really captured our okay, that's what we want to do. So we started. We get over there. We had our poles, we had our backpacks, we had water containers, we had everything we think we needed. The one thing I didn't have that I had 5 of them sitting on the table when I left was flashlights. I had to buy a flashlight over there. So we started and we walked first 3 days to Pamplona. And this is a change in elevation. And the high part right here is a little over 5,000 feet. And so it's a lot of up and down, a lot of up and down. And this middle part here, that's a desert. That part there really doesn't change a whole much. It's called a meseta. So a lot of elevation changes. And of course, at the beginning, we had 2 choices. We could go up over the Pyrenees right straight out of Saint-Jean, and it's about 15, 18 miles. You go up and over, or you take the low road. You get almost to your next destination, which is Roncesvalles, and then you go up. And that's where I almost gave up everything right then and there. That first day was, we had just absolute fun on that first literally few hours. Everything is going well, and nobody else is on our trail. Can't imagine why. Then we find out later on that a couple, 3 weeks prior to us walking that one, a British couple got lost for 10 days or something on that particular one, and they recommended highly that people don't take it. But we didn't know that at the time. But I think toward the end, we actually saw another hiker. When we got off of the Pyrenees Mountains, we ran into quite a few of them. But we get to Roncesvalles. I thought I had a reservation there. I didn't, couldn't find it. Turns out that I didn't have over there they have a valet service. You can take and either carry your backpack like you see us wearing right here, or for 6 or 8 euros, they will put it in the car, drive it to your next location, drop it off. Well, part of our problem was that we wanted to have the experience of being a real pilgrim on this thing, meaning that we didn't know how far we were going to walk. We didn't know where we were going to stop. It was just whatever happened, happened. And so that was our plan. That changed very abruptly after about a week. Temperatures are up well over 100, 102, 104. We get in, we leave, early morning, have breakfast and head out. And we're stopping about once an hour to relax, get some water, maybe eat something light. The food over there is fantabulous. It's just amazing. For about 10 euros, you can get a 3-course meal and a bottle of wine or a bottle of water, all included in that one price. And that's because we were pilgrims and we're walking this thing, and we have a passport that says, yeah, we're gainfully being a pilgrim. And so they give us a major discount on food. They even gave us a major discount on a Hilton hotel we stayed at in Pamplona, I think half off. But the thing is, we went in there knowing that we were in pretty good physical health, which we were. We both turned 70 on that particular pilgrimage. And we had no feet problems. The problem we had was we just couldn't climb mountains. And that was a lot of the issue there. So we had our walking sticks, and they became invaluable as you're doing everything. I would say if somebody's going to walk tomorrow, buy your walking stick over there. Don't worry about trying to get on the airlines and everything else. There's so many of them over there. It's a non-issue. But we get started there out of Valcarlis, right, just on the Spanish side of the fact you don't even see a border. It's like a line, very faint line on a highway. And then you walk across the border and you don't even know you're in Spain. But you can see the Pyrenees Mountains in the background, and we're looking at them. Okay, that looked pretty nice. And we kept going and going and going. The very first part, because it was more, let's say, civilized than the rest of everything we're doing, and you'll see what I mean by civilized, we actually walked on literally the side of the road. That was not common for most. I mean, we had a few places like that, but most of the time we were walking pretty much on pretty rough terrain. In fact, that was my only really one question I never got the answer to before going over there. What are the roads like you're walking on? Well, in a short sentences, they're basically old Roman roads from 2,000 years ago that have been left to themselves. So we're walking, but this is a pathway next to a small river, canal, whatever. And that little pathway there just barely wide enough for you with all the rocks. That was a very typical scene walking. If I had to pick any one of them, that would be a very typical scene. Here, there had to be a lot of trees because we're just starting our ascent into the Pyrenees Mountains. We have another 3,000 feet or something like that to go. But it seemed like, in fact, you may not even be able to tell, but that is actually a path. It's slightly off to the left, and it's barely 18 inches wide. The bushes are growing over a little bit. But that was probably one of the more interesting ones of the paths that we actually walked on. So we're walking, and we're going uphill, and we're going uphill, and we're going uphill. And it got to us. It really, after a while, there was no down. It was just all up. So we're continuing to walk, and basically it's little paths, whatever people have. And fresh air, sunshine when we had it. The first couple of days weren't too bad, but after that we had real bad. If you like 100-degree temperatures, I was a happy camper, but not many people were. So you keep walking, and the scenery changes a little bit. The width of the path changes a little bit. That's my wife ahead of me there. And so we're going on down the road. Okay, you can see the little walkway off to the left of the main highway. A lot of people will walk up on the highway because the road, in fact, when you're walking, I may or may not have my poles with me, but if I'm walking without my poles, I am literally walking 3 feet in front of me because that road is so uneven, and it's so easy to get yourself caught in a little crevice or something. So you're constantly looking 2-3 feet in front of you to make sure you don't fall on something, trip over something. So when you get to a nice flat area like that road, occasionally you'd pop up there on the asphalt just so you can enjoy walking on something flat for a while. The paths are very well marked. It's hard to get lost, but we got lost 3 times. But there's these little blue things with the yellow shells, and they tell you you see a little white arrow below that blue. It says that to the left is the road for the Camino. And so we'd come across these things periodically. We'd leave early in the morning, and we got lost. In fact, when we went out with a group of people early in the morning, you come to a place and people would go straight ahead, left and right, and then they come back in about 3, 4, 5 minutes saying, it's this way because they found one of these markers. Most of the time we walk by ourselves. But as we're walking, this is a roadway that got washed out more than a few times. Extremely dangerous. You have to walk with your canes just to maintain a 3-point fix with the ground. You get 2 feet and some other point, or 1 foot and 2 with your arms and then the poles. Very, very, very dangerous. And you're not going very fast. It's just not worth it. We found out over time, after we got walking for about a week, 10 days, they would usually do about 5 kilometers, 3 miles the first hour, and then 4 kilometers an hour the rest of the day. And that seemed to be pretty standard for us. We're getting close to Pamplona. We had 2 stops. Then we had Saint-Jean. Saint-Jean was where we spent the night. In France, we spent the next night at Roncesvalles, and then there was another one, and then back to Pamplona. And so the pathways are just, this is what the Romans used to walk on 2,000 years ago, literally. Some of them a little bit nicer. That was Roman bridge from 2,000 years ago, just before we get into Pamplona. And it's neat to see a lot of this old stuff that's still functioning today as it had, millennia ago. You get into town, generally flat, but with most European cities, they love that cobblestone. So even though you're in town, now you're still walking on something that's uneven. I thought cobblestones were really neat the first time I saw them. About 2 days later, I said, nope, they're not that neat. And this is from times I've been back to Europe, way back with the Navy, back in the 1970s, 80s, and 90s. But it's just, I like flat, and they are not cooperating. Another bridge, Roman bridge. And you have to kind of admire everything is there, because they just put together and just last forever and ever and ever, no matter how many floods happen or anything else. Somewhere around day 8 to day 10, I get into town. I go to 8 different hotels. They're all full up. And we had a crisis meeting saying we can't keep showing up and finding a place to stay. We would get somebody to take our bags and drop them at one of these hostels. We'd show up at the hostel, but we wouldn't stay there. We'd just have our bags dropped there. So we decided, okay, 2 or 3 things need to happen. We can't leave at 8 o'clock in the morning and expect to get anywhere within a reasonable period of time. So it's figure 8 hours, maybe 10 hours, maybe less, but 8 to 10 hours of walking a day was very common for us. So if I'm starting literally before 6 in the morning, then I can be done with my walking by 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I can take a nap. I can do some sightseeing. I can have a nice dinner and go to bed and get up and go the next day. So we decided 2 things. Number 1, we're leaving early. Number 2, I'm going to call my destination, which we didn't have a destination prior to this, and make a reservation. So I got on the phone, called, and boom, made a reservation. Didn't have to put down any credit cards, just my name. That's all they needed, which I thought was nice. So we finally get to our destination. Boom, my bags are sitting there waiting for us. I have a day pack that handles the little stuff that we need. Made the walk so much more convenient. But most of our mornings were literally 0 dark 30, just like this. This scene appeared so many times along there. Not so much the people in front of us. We found out that we were probably the slowest walkers for the first 20, 25 days. We didn't pass anybody.
Hi, I'm so sorry, but we've lost your sound. You're on mute.
Okay, backing up. Thank you very much. And the towns all look pretty much the same. You're coming in at them, and we're walking with people or without people. Most of the time that we walked, we never passed anybody. I think our first person we passed was about day 25. But the people were very friendly, and we would never ask what you do. We'd ask, is this your first Camino? And then that kind of started things out. Where are you from? And we never asked anything, rarely asked a name, rarely asked what you did. It was, is this your first Camino? Where are you from? Again, this is our typical one right here. We're getting ready to get into the Meseta, the desert. It's about 150 miles long. So you spend 8-10 days walking across that desert. The roads here, again, old Roman roads. They've just been paved over a little bit with caliche or whatever they may happen to have for dirt. My wife's there ahead of me. I have probably 3,500 pictures of her backside. Another morning, leaving early. This was the one place we stopped that actually had in the hotel a washing machine in the room. Really neat. Other than that, we never saw another one of those the whole rest of the trip. Again, a little bit wider road, a lot of people walking. Um, Again, very flat, no trees. Temperatures, mid 90s to low hundreds most of the time in the afternoons. Again, now this is a little bit nicer. You're walking into another town. You have the road going into town, so we're walking on the road. But in some places, there is actually a little non-paved area off to the side of the road that some people walk on. And we were so grateful because we had no feet problems, no leg problems, no ankle problems, nothing. Uh, but we ran into so many people with issues, knees, ankles, toenails, uh, an amazing variety of ailments. Every so often you come across these people that would sit out there and they would have barbecue, or they would have cokes, or they would have some kind of food, and you stop and chat for a moment or two. Most of them spoke a little English. You get something to eat or take with you, and it was just kind of a nice respite. You got a little umbrella there to get out of the sunlight. Again, now we're walking uphill. This is kind of a hill that the road you can see almost back there on the back, but the road goes straight, but you have to go. The Camino goes up over this hill, and you can look down and see the road where the cars are going. But that was a fairly healthy walk up that particular hill. Okay, now we're in Logroño, and we stopped for lunch, and we decide, okay, we're going to stay there for dinner. We found a really nice place. And the one place that we stopped, we actually stayed 2 nights in a non-hotel area. One, when my wife's backpack broke and we couldn't get it fixed, and it was getting toward dark. So we stopped at a hostel, and my wife shared a room with 8 other guys, and that was our room for the night. A lot of interesting things there that if I had more time, I'd go into a real good story about that. But the second place we stayed in a hostel was here in Logroño. And in Logroño, they had a section for all men's, toiletries, showers and everything, and women's separate. Then we had our own private room together. So it was a hostel, but it wasn't the same kind of hostel we stayed at before. But I think in Roncesvalles, they had a monastery that had 400 beds. So you walk into some part of the monastery and there might be 100 beds in there, and that's where people would stay. This is probably the best picture I ever took on the entire 3,000 pictures I took on the trip. I walked out of the hotel in Logroño in the morning. I took a picture. It was like, my goodness, amazing, just absolutely amazing. It disappeared about 3-4 minutes later. It was not the same. Again, we're walking along the side of the road. Now we're getting ready to leave the road, heading into another town. You can see it there in the upper right-hand portion of the photograph. Another early morning departure. Most of the time when we left, it was just the 2 of us. Occasionally, somebody would catch up with us and walk on by, but it was rare that we actually had more than 2 people with us at any point in time in the early morning hours. Most people just walk so much faster than we did. Again, that tree that you see there to the left, that was a godsend because it had shade, and most of the rest of that thing out there was another probably a couple, 3 miles before we found another tree. But you get a tree and you can just kind of relax, drink some water, take it easy, sit down if you can. Some places you can, some places you can't, just depending on what the nature of the terrain is. This one, it reminded me of an old Western, Once Upon a Time in the West. Don't ask me why, but something about that particular view. I come over the top of the hill. There's the city. I'm going straight down the hill. And for whatever reason, just in the back of my mind, this kind of looks like not the good, the bad, and the ugly, but Once Upon a Time in the West, a movie, old Western. And a lot of Westerns are filmed over there in Spain and in Italy. And it kind of lends itself to that theme. Okay, get through that one, can continue on down the road. Again, it's an old Roman road that just been, some rocks thrown over the top. But when you look at the way those roads were built, they just last and last and last and last. You can see where we generally carry our jacket, or we put it in our thing. So daytime temperatures are fine. It wasn't until toward the end of the show toward the end of the walk that we started actually having to worry about weather. Okay, a lot of sunflowers off to the left, a lot of grain out there, and a lot of wine trees. For those people not familiar with the wine tree, they call them grapes. But they're big places, and there's just an inordinate amount of them. Again, we're in the Meseta, very little shade trees, nice and relatively flat, not totally flat, but relatively flat. Continuing on, Burgos is a very large city. I want to say 1 million people or something. I don't know. It took us almost an hour to walk outside of the city. But we left early in the morning. About halfway to outside of the city, we came across this large church school area. And of course, we're literally the only ones out there this time of morning. A little bit later on, again, another Wild West scene. Kind of imagine being on a stagecoach heading down this road. But there, off in the distance, you can see some houses, some white houses. Another city. This is so common where you maybe 10, 15 kilometers in between everything. Here's another city. Here's another city. Here's another. So we figured out that you get started, and about every other hour, every 2 hours, something like that, every 3 hours, you can stop and get something to eat, get something to drink, relax, go to the bathroom. That was a big deal, finding bathrooms that worked. This was, nobody lived in whatever building this used to be once upon a time. I just thought it was interesting. It was very large, very archaic, but I guess 100 years ago or something people did, but not anymore. This is probably one of my more interesting ones, because if you look way back in the back at the base of that other hill, there's a town that we stayed in. We left and we walked almost literally straight up this mountain. If you look at a map of the area, these roads that these Romans used to walk on literally go up and over the mountains, but all the highways around them, they go around the mountains. So we're walking, and it's a very steep hill. I mean, it's a very steep climb. And you walk a little bit, you take a break. You walk a little bit, you take a break. You walk a little, reminding me of the first day when you couldn't get very far at all without having to take a break. So we get there to the top, and they're saying morning, 18 degrees down bubble on this particular one. And you really and truly have to use your poles, because it's, again, you have a lot of uneven, holy terrain that you're walking on, plus trying to keep at least 3 points in contact with the ground at any time. But 18 degrees down is a very, very big drop. Another bridge. We actually took, I think we got something and ate in the park, then went over here and looked at the river and everything. That was a nice place we stayed at. Back again out in the desert. And you see people using, a lot of times people used them, a lot of times they didn't. I used mine at one point in time as windshield wipers. I would sit there and go like this because the bugs were just fierce. And so I'm using them as a windshield wiper. So if I say two pieces of advice, buy your poles over in Spain and buy something with a mosquito netting. They weren't mosquitoes, but they're gnats and other things. And they were just constantly hitting your face. So I didn't have that. I wish I had. But that, if I ever walk this again, that's definitely something I would have. Or if I know somebody's walking, I tell them, make sure you get that, because those bugs just really get to be a fierce beast. Major water crossing is canal. We had to walk quite a ways down to get to what place you cross over it. But then all of a sudden things got cooler. It's like that one little water stretch there changed the temperature. It's amazing what had happened. Again, this is the one I think I had a couple teepees down on the right-hand side. You're walking up. So we actually stayed there we stopped there for a Coke and a pit stop. But they had tents that people stayed in. Pretty interesting. And you can see the road off to the left, but the road that we're on is the one that we're walking. Another city, very similar. We're walking on old Roman road off to the left, and the modern highway is off there to your left. We're on the right there on the left. Okay, finally, we went into some rain. Temperature dropped about 20 degrees in the 70s with rain. We had a rain deal. I had an umbrella. Didn't work. Really, I may as well not have had it. I ended up putting a jacket on, but the cooler weather, I think it got down to 50s. I had to go buy a sweater. It was chilly enough. I had to do something. As I said, rare shot of my backside. Most of the time I had the camera, but I carried all the water. I had two big, water things on my belt. And so we needed something. We had that. But when we walked the first day, we ran out of water, and it was like hours before we actually got something. And we finally got to a place where there was water, and there was a sign saying contaminated. So I'm sitting there looking at this water, and I can't touch it. Most of the water in Spain is potable, especially stuff that comes out of the rocks. Another early morning, we're starting to find now that if we leave too early in the morning, it's really dark. And so we're going to have to adjust our time a little closer to daylight. First time we actually had fog in the morning. Getting closer toward our destination, Santiago de Compostela. More trees, a lot of shade, a lot more mountains. This was I don't want to say embankment. My wife started out trying to walk it with her poles. She finally had to sit down on her butt and butt to butt on one thing to the next because it was just almost impossible for her to go down. I made it without too much difficulty with two poles and a lot of straining, but for her to go down there, she finally, after about 10 or 15 feet, said no. She's going to sit down and just kind of butt walk herself down the side. It was pretty steep. Another early morning departure. We joked a lot about landmines that we found along the road, and we laughingly call the cow patties landmines. They were there. You didn't want to step in them, but you did find some cows. Most of them were not on the road, but some of them were. We would find occasional dogs. We'd find no horses, although a friend of mine did ride it a couple years ago using a horse. Motorcycles were not that common. Bicycles not that common, but they were there. This place was an old mill, a grinding place. They actually had the mill with the river where they dropped the thing in and it would rotate and mash the grain. And so they converted that mill room into, I think, 3 bedrooms. And so we're 100 yards or more from the main house, but there was 3 rooms out here in the mill. And so we're walking early in the morning with our flashlights to get back to the main building so that we could leave and continue walking. There's a couple dogs up there, and yeah, they left their landmines there too. Just had to be careful. This is a bicycle, and they came by fast. You had to, and they wouldn't ring their bell. Some of them did, but it seemed like to me that I'm going to say 3 out of 4 did not, maybe 4 out of 5, and they come roaring by. You'd usually hear them because of the rough road, but sometimes they get a smooth patch, they're by you before you even see them. Dangerous. Okay, we're getting closer and closer to Santiago. The terrain is changing significantly. We're starting to get in some really dense trees here shortly. Probably our last early morning leave on our way. You can actually hear airplanes. You can't see them, but you can hear them. So we know we're getting close to the airport there at Santiago. You can see the trees. You get in the middle of all that. It's very quiet, very peaceful. You get a little breeze. It's very enlightening. And there we get to the end. Literally, we are in the city limits of Santiago de Compostela. And somebody took our picture. We were very grateful. Everything, we're in groups of 10, 20, 30 walking at one time because everybody has finally caught up. And you may have a group of 8 or 10 people. It's one party, and they catch up with another group of 5 or 10. And so you have these large groups that are walking in. So we get into town and we decide, okay, we're not going to go all the way in. We're going to stop and eat something. And so we have a nice meal, get back up, head back out again. Finally get down here almost to the very end, and now you're literally right almost on top of the cathedral, which marks the end of this particular 500-mile journey. And there behind us in construction is the Cathedral of Santiago de Compostela. My wife and I, 500 miles, 30 days. And we didn't walk every single day. I think it was 3 days. We took local bus transportation in Spain is amazing. We'd left Santiago and got to ride back down to Rota. The bus system there is, I think, far superior to the United States. But anyway, that was our deal. We finished everything. We spent another 3 days in the area, went out, did some sightseeing, took a bus back down to Rota, Spain, caught an airplane 2 days later, Navy plane back to Norfolk, Virginia. No, I think we went to Columbia, South Carolina. And then we finished up our trip, got home. I think we ended up taking literally took a bus home because we had flown out to my son's house in Virginia. So on the way back, we left and actually took a bus ride 2 days back to Houston, if I remember right. I'm pretty sure it's 2 days. But we enjoyed it. We had a great time. Food was fantastic. Lots and lots of people we met. Just an amazing, amazing trip. Most people will walk the last 100 kilometers of it and get credit for walking the 800 kilometers. But the 500 miles is 800 kilometers, and that's what we did. And that is it for today. So a couple of minutes early, which is fine. I am going to get probably back onto the health and wellness end of things. I finished up my book. I got first pass editing on Aging Sucks. I am now ready, have it all lined up in book format, doing a chapter standardization across the sections to make sure everything looks good. My publication date is July 4th. I should make that without a problem at all. Probably be sending out some beta reader copies, PDF versions here shortly. And so I'll come back from our Denver trip and then have fun, enjoy, and stay safe. So take care, y'all. Bye now.
Ever dreamed of hosting your own TV show, sharing your story with a global audience? Now's your chance to shine. At USA Global TV and Radio, we make it easy for you to create, host, and broadcast your very own TV show. Whether you're a storyteller, entrepreneur, or industry expert, we help you bring your vision to life. With our exclusive interview, live streaming, and podcasting training, you'll gain the skills and confidence to captivate your audience. Our global platform ensures your voice is heard worldwide. Join our community of creators who are already making an impact, one show at a time. Step into the spotlight. Host your own TV show on USA Global TV and Radio. Book your discovery call today at usaglobaltv.com. Copyright 2025 USA Global TV and Radio. All rights reserved. Terms and conditions apply. To learn more, visit usaglobaltv.com.
How much of your value have you been giving away? Saying yes when the answer should have been no? Lowering your price to secure the opportunity? Giving more while receiving less? Over time, it adds up. Until one moment brings clarity, you've been giving away your value. This is not about working harder. This is not about doing more. It's about boundaries. It's about pricing. It's about respect. From Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck comes a direct and necessary message. Stop over-delivering. Stop underpricing your expertise. Stop negotiating against yourself. Because when you recognize your value, everything changes. Stop giving away your value. Boundaries, pricing, and the business of respect. Available now wherever fine books are sold and on Amazon. A film by USA Global TV and Radio. Executive producer Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Videographer and cinematic production Paul Garcia. Voiceover by Ed Wargas. Stop giving it away. Start owning it.
Hey you. Psst. Yes, you. Watching this right now.
Are you creating content, a blog, a podcast, a newsletter, going live on Instagram or TikTok, and still not seeing real visibility or growth? Here's why. Anyone can post, anyone can go live, but not everyone is positioned to be taken seriously. Right now, people are going to YouTube to search for experts, for answers, for credibility. So while you're putting in the work, someone else is being seen as the authority. Not because they know more, because they're positioned better. Now imagine this. Your own professionally produced TV show, marketed, distributed, optimized with SEO so people can actually find you. Not just seen, but searchable, discoverable, positioned. You're trained, you're coached, you're guided. No experience necessary, but you do have to be coachable, because this is about stepping into a higher level. This isn't about doing more, it's about doing it right. We've already built the platform, 2 YouTube channels, a global audience, a Silver Creator Award. So the question is, how much longer are you going to rely on temporary visibility when you could be building real authority? If you're ready to be seen differently, go to usaglobaltv.com and apply to host your own show. This is for individuals who are serious about investing in their visibility, their credibility, and their growth. If that's you, we're ready. USA Global TV and Radio, where your voice becomes your platform. Executive producer, Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Videographer, Paul Garcia. Voiceover, Ed Vargas. All rights reserved. This production is the exclusive property of the USA Global TV and Radio and may not be reproduced, distributed, or used without written permission.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USAGlobalTV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.